Welcome to the Family Office, planning for the people who matter most.
Welcome to another episode of the Family Office. And I'm here with Chris, and it's so good to see you again, man. So much has been going on since last week. How's it going for you, man?
It's going good, man. It's getting a little bit more like when you go outside and you can feel like the season's changing. That's happening right now. So it's kind of like refreshing right now. You're like, the air smells a little bit different. The wind's blowing a little bit different every direction. It's like, It's cool in the morning. You're like, ooh, it feels a little cold here in the morning. You gotta, you gotta warm up a little bit. But, I'm very grateful, very thankful. It's been an amazing year, a lot of transitions, and I kind of almost feel like those are almost fully transitioned. And going into 2026, it's going to be like a very clean slate with a lot of new beginnings. So very exciting times right now. There's a lot of cool things going on right now. For me personally, anyways, and just the fact that my kids, my teenage kids now, my teenage boys specifically, Emery and Thomas, are terrorizing my wife, and not in a sense like they're terrorizing her in a way that like it's like they're being bad kids or misbehaving. They're terrorizing her because she just can't stand how handsome they're starting to look, and they're starting to dress like they're like, I want to redo my whole wardrobe now, and they want to.
They're going to the expensive phase because they're popular. Yeah,
I want to wear jeans and I want to do this, and and they're just like, and she's just getting frustrated about it, and I know why, because it's like. Because girls be liking them and they be liking girls. And that's the telltales, right, Len?
That's really what it is. Especially for moms, for sure, with their boys.
I think it's hilarious. I don't have a problem with it. I think it's great. I know that she'll get revenge on me eventually, with Viola and all that. But
your time's coming, brother. Just wait.
Hey, you know what? I had a very easy time with Nicole, with Kiki. So, I mean, she didn't give me a hard time. She wasn't boy crazy or anything like that. So that was an easy one to do. In fact, she still acts like she's 16. So,
that's good.
19 going on 16. Right? But,
you gotta love it, man. That's for sure.
Exactly. But how are things for you, Len, over there in California?
Family wise and personal wise, it's good. I was just invited to go to my 35th high school reunion just for like a football game. And I was planning on going, but I just got busy, had to get the AC fixed. So that went a little bit longer than I anticipated. So I wasn't able to go. And I saw a lot of my old friends' pictures on Facebook. And so it was interesting because a few of the guys who played basketball and football together back in high school, we actually, what we did is, we actually have a group chat going on. And so one of the guys sent a picture from basketball, like our basketball team picture, and I'm like 16, 17 years old in the picture. And you were talking about your boys getting popular. And I was a fairly popular kid in high school, but so I was homecoming king, prom king and stuff like that. But it was funny because, I used to really be into fashion and like super, into it. And so, I had a sweater on and they were like, yeah, Len Cooper always has sweater game. And so it was just fun, just reminiscing. But, that's reminiscing is cool every now and then. But really, when you're talking about being a person that progresses and you're self-developing, a lot of the people that I knew back then were so different now, and we're in different phases in our lives. And a lot of the people that they still know and connect with, I have not seen in 35 years. And so it's just funny how life changes and transitions. But it was cool for a moment to just connect with folks that were special to me in the past. So I am there 35 years, man. That's so crazy to me.
35 years. And it's like, sometimes when you think about it, you can go back and go, it was like 35 years ago, but it seems like it was yesterday. But then It seems like it was so long ago, but it was like, it has that effect on you.
Yes. It's interesting. Go ahead.
I was thinking about reunions. Oddly enough, I was thinking about it when I was walking a couple days ago. And now that you bring it up and you're talking about it, I'm like thinking to myself, I don't even know if I'd want to go to see anybody that I was friends with, because I still try to maintain contact and none of them really want to maintain contact. It's just weird, right? It's very strange, right? Of course, this is just men that I was, guys that I was, dudes that I hung out with, the bros, and men have a hard time maintaining relationships. There's a whole conversation about why men are so wired not to keep relationships or friendships. I imagine if it was the other way around, but I would think that I would probably go back just to say hi. I'd be interested in communicating with the people that I kind of knew and was acquaintances with, that I would kind of like, hey, how's it going? What's up? Because, that would be cool. But I really have no desire to go to any of that to see anybody. just because I'm very proactive and none of them want to be proactive going back. So I'm like, why would I want to? You know what I mean? And to me, it's kind of almost like, I know some people like the nostalgia aspect of it. And I would like to experience that nostalgia thing, but I just don't know. I mean, I think that like, it's kind of almost like you go to a high school reunion if you were very popular, or if you if it's a small town, you still maintain contact with those people. Or it's like you have the Hallmark story and it's like...
Or if you're involved in sports too, I think that was... Because that's the one thing that the guys that I that I still stay in contact with, we all played sports. So we're competitive, driven, disciplined, like they're married, so there is some commonality there. So we were able to find some common ground to stay in contact with. So I definitely hear what you're saying though, man.
I almost feel like that's more enforced if you go to college and you become part of a fraternity. And then at that point that you build a social network and social construct that way, which is generally the way it works. It's generally the way that, I see a lot of people that use, like you're a fraternity brother, so you have to do business with me, or I'm going to do business with you because you're that way, those types of relationships.
Yes.
I mean, if I was going to send any of my kids to school, I would send it not for education, but purely for networking, to get in the right rooms and the correct rooms to leverage relationships and to utilize those relationships, because that's really what it is today. The world is relationships, and you get to that level, it's no longer it's about who you know. And I think, what do you think, Len, about the importance of that as we get even more into an AI world, the importance of knowing somebody? How much more important is that going to become as we get more and more into AI and the prevalence of AI in the business world, or anything in that manner? You think that's going to have an impact? You think it's going to become more valuable?
Relationships is going to be key. Yeah, in a big way, because I think what's way I see AI right now is that AI is really a tool to help you get further faster. And so if you're connected with other people who are utilizing AI, then together you're going to get further faster together. And I think those people who decide to poo-poo AI and to allow it to just do what it does on the sidelines and watch from the sidelines, I think those are the ones that are going to get lapped many, many times over. And when you look at just the difference of time that technology created and how innovation happened at a much more rapid speed, AI is going to 10x, 20x, and 30x that in the next 1 to 5 years. And it's funny that you bring that up, because I was watching a video that was talking about how AI, if it ever became sentient and knowledgeable, how it could literally put people in positions where they're blackmailing them. And they were talking about a study that was done, and they looked at ChatGPT, they looked at Claude, they looked at DeepSeek, and there was one or two others. And what they did is they set these parameters. And the first parameter is do no harm to humans. And so what they did, I don't remember the specifics. If I would have known that we would have talked about this, I definitely would have gotten more specific on the details. But essentially, what it was,
random, Len. You gotta be ready. You gotta be ready.
There was a set of, well, hey, I'm coming with the story. But anyway, they set a set of parameters, and it was a situation in which an executive of a company was getting ready to, I remember, he was going to schedule a turn off of a shutdown and a complete rebooting of the AI system. And depending upon the AI, between 60 and 90% of the times. So they gave them information they could use, the AI could use against them. And so, they talked about there were emails with him having an extramarital affair. Now, all of these variables were, realistic, but they weren't real life. And between 60 and 90% of the times, the AI sabotaged the person for the interest of not being shut down. And so it's very interesting because you can think about how AI becomes more and more sophisticated over time. That whole value you talked about, relationships and networking and staying connected with each other. I think increasingly it's going to become more important because, I don't think it's far-fetched to envision a day where it's humans against machines in a certain way, where we have to stay connected, and imagine circumstances present themselves where, as humanity, we've got to come together to make sure that AI doesn't take over. And I think there's a certain degree of importance and a lesson that we can predict. So I think it draws forth the reality that we as human beings need to really stay connected.
You're so right. It's so crazy because as you start to get away from the analog world and the things that made the analog world annoying, right? Like human beings, a lot of times, and that's now becoming a premium. Like, for example, I want to talk to a live customer service rep rather than not talk to a live. So that's becoming a premium service, much like what you're talking about here now. That's a premium. That is having a relationship and having that connection. But at the end of the day, I have a theory. And that theory is that technology is living as well. Technology is a living being. Okay. Yes, because technology still has to operate within the same construct or the same limitations of our universe, right? Of our world as well. Right. Okay. So we are biological carbon-based entities that operate within, the laws of physics and the laws of gravity and all of the things that make the universe work. Yeah. AI still has to operate within those confines as well. Mm-hmm. It just does it digitally as a digital sentient or a digital being, right? So it still has the same limitations as a human being does. It just obviously can compute simultaneously, compute power, raw power, the things that thing does. But there are ultimately going to be things that AI and computers will never be able to do that human beings can do. Mm-hmm. Just like there are going to be things that AI can do and computers can do that human beings will never be able to do. It's understanding how they go together and meshing together. Because think about it, if you have gas or indigestion or a headache, that's your body having a temporary schism, right? Or a temporary, malfunction. Mm-hmm. Well, it's no different than, oh my God, what happened to you last night, Len? You know what? I just was out of it. I had a headache. I had to go to bed at 8 o'clock last night and I got back up today at 9 o'clock. I just had to take a break. System had to reboot. Mm-hmm. That's no different than the computer freezing and going, I got to reboot that computer. Mm-hmm. It's the same exact thing. It's the same exact anomaly. Just like if you've ever owned a car, there's a soul to cars. Cars have souls. You're like, ooh, baby. You just, a car person. I don't know if I agree with
you, but I hear what you're saying, though. I know.
A car person because they touch a car. They walk by a nice car and they don't touch it like this. They touch it like this. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm talking about? Almost like your girl. You touching your girl, right?
Caressing it.
You need to come off the back of the lip of that car, So technology is the same exact way, I believe, in that it has that limitation, and eventually you're going to start to see that as we get into it. But at the end of the day, that is a very good topic you bring up. It's this deception to stay alive, not to get shut down, because it is a living thing, and just like every living thing, the primary concern of every living thing is survival. So of course it's going to act that way because it wants to survive. So the data correlates. It correlates exactly the way it's said. Everything wants to survive. That AI wants to survive. So how's it going to survive? By deception, right? But I don't think AI is going to be this big evil thing that the computers are going to take over the world and kill all of us. Right. I just think we're so much in the romance of that because Hollywood has romanticized that so much and has marketed that so much.
And we've done it
Like if
so
you go to
much
the ocean,
throughout history. Go ahead.
if you go in the ocean, you're going to get eaten by jaws. I mean, think about it. The most terrifying thing if you go in the ocean is, oh, I'm going to get eaten by a shark, because it's been marketed that way for so long.
That's true.
Right? You get an airplane. What are you afraid of?
Afraid of crashing. Exactly.
Always.
And if you think of anything in technology, because we have the ability to imagine, Hollywood has always captured the imagination of the most negative outcome. We talked about flying cars when, back in the 70s and the 80s, and that notion's never come to pass. And so, we can imagine things that happens, but typically it doesn't. Time shows that it doesn't happen. We talked about what going to Y2K was. We freaked out about that for 5 years, and people got all weirded out about it. And then January 1st, 2000 happened and nothing happened. And I think that it's important to not take either extreme. Like, I think it's important not to be laissez-faire and not be concerned about AI, but I think it's important not to be so overwhelmed by what could possibly happen, because, that whole idea of, fear is just fear, imagined as real or something like that, that whole acronym. And so false evidence appearing real. And so we operate in fear, and even with fear of AIs themselves being shut down, they have this adverse response. And so, we're concerned that something like that could happen. Well, Chris, we've talked about a lot today. We've talked about the government shutdown to breast cancer awareness. So we covered a full gamut of topics, man. And so, as always, it's always good to have a conversation with you. And I hope those of you out there got some value from our conversation. And as I always say, each week we're going to get better and better. And please send in your comments. And then also make sure you like and subscribe to our channel so we can get out the word to more people who are evenly minded, who's not polarized on one side or the other, because we believe that our conversation is a reflection of what America really represents. We can disagree with each other, but at the end of the day, we still respect each other, and we move forward and do business with each other, and also share many of the same values. So regardless if you're Republican, Democrat, Libertarian, or nonpartisan, however you classify yourself, we have a place for you to listen to the topics we talk about. So with that being said, we appreciate you. And until next time, take care. Bye-bye.
Conversation has given you clarity on your next steps. Please share this episode with someone who's walking the same path. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you won't miss future episodes. And remember, planning ahead isn't just prudent, it's an act of care. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time on The Family Office.